There are a lot of content creators out there, and a large chunk of them love manga. Most of the time, when the interest of manga is brought to light, the first question to be asked is, what is your favourite manga? So I decided to cut out the middleman and use this video to ask content creators their all-time favourite manga. It didn't have to be the highest rated manga or the one they've read the most, it just had to be their favourite. And you may be thinking, Bunko, didn't the Anime Man do something similar with 100 creators but anime? And yes, he did. But my competitive nature saw that as a challenge, so I asked 110 wonderful content creators. So grab some snacks, get comfy, and let's see these hot takes unfold. I'll start this off with girlfriend who absolutely doesn't want to take a bath versus boyfriend who absolutely wants her to take a bath. A short and finished manga that has the most realistic expectation of a wholesome couple living together, in which one of them is a feral gremlin that doesn't like to bathe. It's very reminiscent of My Partner and I, in which I am that feral gremlin that doesn't like to bathe. Each side character has their own part to play within the story without taking the spotlight away from the main protagonists. It happily lives within the pie diagram of 10 out of 10 manga and something sentimental. It's playful, it's wholesome, and I just love it.
Hey, how's it going? OtakuMike here from the Otakuology podcast, and my favorite manga is Ultraman. This manga is so amazing, and it's the one I'd recommend to everybody. This manga is about a young boy named Shin who finds out his dad is Ultraman. Shin ends up taking the place, becoming the new Ultraman, and fighting a giant kaiju. It's very new reader friendly. You don't have to know anything really about the Ultraman universe as a whole. It's definitely its own standalone story, but it does bring in references from other Ultraman series and wraps everything nicely into a really good story. The action is cool, the artwork is amazing. This is a series that I definitely recommend. Go check it out.
Hey guys, Jen Graves here from the Otakuology podcast, and one of my favorite manga is Del Toro Quest. I really like it. It's actually based off of a chapter book series that you probably would have read in high school, maybe. It's based off of basically a boy who on his 16th birthday goes and is given basically this belt to have these stones placed into it, kind of like Thanos' gauntlet. And he is trying to do that and gets into way too many situations and has to figure that out, all to try and save the king again, which there is a twist ending. So check it out, and we will catch you later.
Hey there, I'm Speedboy, and Bunko has asked me to talk about my favorite manga of all time, which to me feels like a bit of cheating because this is just straight up my favorite piece of Japanese media like ever, and it's Initial D was the anime that got me into anime and the manga that got me into reading manga. And the reason why I love this series so much is because of its attention to detail. The attention to detail is legitimately insane. Throughout the series, there is so much really good explanations of really nerdy car stuff like anti-lag systems and driving tactics. And the reason why is because many people who were working on the manga at the time were either affiliated with like racing teams or straight up racing driver, like one of them being the person who literally invented drifting, Keiichi Tsuchiya. Hopefully I said that name right. The art is amazing. All of the street racing scenes I find are just brilliant. And the one downfall of the series, in my opinion, is the character writing, because every character just feels very 2D. But one major factor for me liking Initial D so much is just when at the time when I was reading it, I was just super duper into rally racing and drifting. And also, I was in a bit of a tough spot at the time in my life, and it was kind of like my light in the black, or it just basically gave me like place to go when like everything else was just shit. Sorry for bringing it down the mood of the video, my apologies.
My favorite manga is Tough. It's a fighting manga. It leans more on the real side with hints of fantasy. If you were to compare how real is it compared to Baki the Grappler and then Hachime no Ippo, then you would say it's in between. You're not gonna see moves like breaking a plane, destroying a building with one punch, but you are gonna see stuff like spiritual punches. And as for why it's my favorite one, I've read this several times and I come back to this every now and then when I'm bored. It is still going on, but that's the sequel, and the sequel I would not say is my favorite. It's more of a sequel where if you are a diehard fan, you will continue reading it. But if you are a new reader, I wouldn't really recommend you to dive into the sequel.
Thanks for having me, Bunko. My favorite manga of all time is definitely Gantz. The reasons why I love this manga is, first of all, the art style. This art is truly something special. The raw detail in the monsters and the battles is really something I've never seen before in any manga. But the biggest part of Gantz that I like so much is the development of K Kurono, the main protagonist. Starting off in the manga, I hated him. He was a dickhead to everybody, and he didn't know how to keep his Johnson under control or his urges. It was just a spiteful, annoying guy. And usually I hate characters like this, who are just jackasses or cringe lords, because it's realistic. But with Kurono, it actually works because we see him develop in each mission, each fight, really caring about the people in his life and having value in his own life. And that's the main reason why I love Gantz, having one of the best developments in his main character and his side characters too. And baddies, just a lot of baddies, you know? You know?
To avoid me saying Dragon Ball or One Piece because it was really the anime that made me love those, I'm gonna pick Gantz as my favorite manga, which is basically a manga of pure chaos, kind of like Chainsaw Man in that sense, but way different, which is something I will almost always fall in love with pretty quickly. But it has a solid amount of underlying themes and character moments to go along with that. I definitely had a blast reading this, especially the Buddha arc, and lastly, I truly believe the MC Kurono is in that conversation of the best character development from any manga or anime. So I'd say check it out just for that if you're interested. But yeah, I would say Gantz is my favorite manga of all time.
Hi, my name is Viola Santiago, and my favorite manhwa is Dr. Elise. Elise, our female lead, was unpopular, spoiled, and a hot-headed empress. Many people rebelled against her, getting her executed. She reincarnates into the modern world with her memory still intact. To atone for a previous life, she studies medicine and becomes an expert doctor. Yet she dies in a plane crash, waking up as Elise again as a teenager. In an effort not to repeat her mistakes, she gains popularity by setting up medical reforms to improve others' health and to improve her relationship with her peers and the people. She reminds me of someone we know as Florence Nightingale, the lady with the lamp. The person that worked in the 1800s during the British War, setting the standards for modern nursing.
Hi, I'm Shay of the Shay Taree YouTube channel, and pretty much for me, what my favorite manga is of pretty much all time is the manga Peach Girl. The reason why it's one of my favorite is because I was able to relate to Momo, the main character, a lot, and I absolutely just enjoyed seeing how she did the ups and downs of high school, of having to deal with fake friends and love interests, and it just had me on the edge of my seat from the beginning that I started reading it. And I also really love that there's a sequel to it as well. So yeah, that's my favorite manga.
Hey all, Ben here, and for my all-time favorite manga, I have to go with Dorohedoro. It's a seinen mystery series created by Kyu Hayashida, and a huge reason I love it so much is that it feels personally tailored to my interests. You have a dark fantasy setting, the absurd gore and body horror comedy, as well as the infinitely likable cast of characters. The bizarre world building of the different realms is what the author is now known for, and it's a huge draw for me. The contrast of the dark subject matter with its mostly upbeat writing makes this an out-of-box comfort series that I love to read. The longer ongoing story is also something that I really enjoy, as I like to see how the story develops over a longer course of story arcs and character development. Overall, this series is a wild ride, and it's best to go into it blind, as you can't really predict where it will go next. If you want to get into it but don't want to start by reading, you can watch the anime adaptation of the prologue, and it's a great jumping off point to get back into the series. So yeah, go read Dorohedoro, or else.
So here we are, Manga Boy, coming at you in Bunkoban's video. Bunkoban. And we have to tell you what my favorite manga is. Now, I got a little creative here, friends. I know what you're all thinking. Manga Boy, you say you love One Piece every time. So, you know what? It's One Piece. You're right. It's One Piece. I'm so sorry. I love the characters. I love the backgrounds. I love the foreshadowing. I love the fact that you can kind of dive deeper into the lore if you read into the panels deep enough. Like, you can get a mini story within each arc typically, but not always, of course. Oda's a busy guy. I didn't even know this. He's got several daughters. It's like wild. But I put in the background here, you may have noticed over this past minute, a few of my other favorite mangas. So One Piece, great characters, great story. super likable and growth characters. I hated it when I first reading it, but as I read it, it grew on me and I love it. You've got to read it if you haven't yet.
My favorite manga of all time is One Piece, and I know there's going to be a million of those, but I'm sure there aren't going to be as many people who own literally all of the omnibuses and are literally recollecting every single volume, and I have up to 105, getting 106 soon. I fucking love that manga, and beyond that, man, the world building is just so nice. Again, not a very hot take or anything, but something about the fact that every single character has a moment where they shine is just so great, because there are moments with every single character in the mainline crew that I connect with emotionally and that I really enjoy and distinctly remember. So One Piece, absolutely 1000% favorite manga of all time.
Wealth, fame, and power. Someone putting One Piece on their #1 favorite manga spot probably isn't that surprising, but if I get the opportunity to talk about it, you bet I will. I'm following the series for actually decades now, so there's definitely nostalgia involved. But aside from that, One Piece has just so many things that I enjoy, and also a lot of plot points I only really started understanding and appreciating the older I got. Reading it feels like you're part of the adventure, the world building is phenomenal, side characters and former antagonists that keep their relevancy throughout the whole thing not only make it more believable, but also the most engaging story I've ever experienced. It deals with a bunch of different themes. Some of them are very dark and tear-jerking, while others make you smile from one ear to another. And if you enjoy theorizing about characters, lore, and world events, there's hardly anything else that comes close to it in my opinion. All of that make it my not only favorite manga, but piece of fiction in general. You can see Uchuu Oda is having fun with every single chapter he puts out, and so do I.
Hi, my name is Elixir, and my favorite anime / manga series of all time would have to be One Piece. And I know that's a lot of people's favorite, but for me, I started off as a One Piece hater. I was always saying, oh, why is everyone giving it so much hype for it? But once I start watching it on the East Blue Saga, I was instantly hooked, and then that's when I realized, okay, this is really good. I'm caught up on the anime. I want to read the manga, but at the same time I don't, because I'm like, I know what's gonna happen and I want to know what's gonna happen, but I just want to wait until it's animated. But yeah, One Piece is my all-time favorite anime. Granted, I have a lot more, but for me, One Piece is truly the best.
Favorite manga. Asking YouTubers their favorite manga. Okay. Mine, Blue Giant. Musical, jazz-related series about a character wanting to become a jazz player. It has so much heart. It has so much soul. It has so much of that human connection through music and emotions and aspirations that honestly kind of reminds me of some aspects of One Piece in a little bit, but it feels so down to earth and really connects with me as someone who loves music and who has big dreams and wants to achieve many things in my life, and maybe have come across people who don't fully understand what it feels like to chase that dream. It is a great series. I love it so much. So yeah, that's my answer.
Alrighty, so I don't read a lot of manga, but if I had to pick my favorite manga, coincidence also getting an anime next year, it would be There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover. Unless... Okay, now, so why did I decide to read this manga? Well, simple answer, simple. Yuri. But it's not just Yuri. There's cheating. There's a girl jumping off rooftops. There's an intense battle for marriage over Apex Legends. It's friends versus girlfriends. So what's the conclusion we come to? Friends with benefits. But what else is it about? Breaking friendships, starting new relationships, and a gamer who finally decides, I need to make friends, and instead gets a harem of girls. Yeah. I love this book.
As you can see from the poster behind me, the DVDs, and the figurine in my hand, my favourite manga of all time is Dr. Stone. The main reason, getting a bit personal here, is that it came at a point when I was in a very dark, depressive state of my life, and just reading the series week to week really helped me get through that. The story kept me captivating, it kept me coming back, wanting to find out what's going to happen next. The science was very realistic in the series when I was reading it, but not only that, it's the characters. The characters just kept me coming back and wanting to see more from them. Like Senku, the main character on here, and who's also the character in my hand here, he is probably one of the most realistic main characters for a Weekly Shonen Jump series. And that's the thing, despite being a Weekly Shonen Jump series, it is one of the most well-written, well-crafted stories ever. You can look at any of those characters and feel like, yeah, I can see myself having a conversation with this person in real life. That's the thing that just makes it so great with the series. The characters just feel so real, and you want them to be real. You wish they were real. And also as well, the fact that I've been able to get people into the anime and they've all enjoyed it. They've all enjoyed watching the series with me. That's just made me feel so much more passionate about the series and getting more people into it as well.
If I had to pick one manga that I loved, it would have to be School Live. Purely just because of the psychological aspect of it. A lot of the times you don't know if what you're currently seeing is actually happening or real. The manga has several plot twists where it left me speechless. The manga follows a group of high school girls surviving a zombie apocalypse, which we get to see the girls start to kind of lose their minds from all of the stress and fear of the reality that they're living in, which leads back to the fake realities that this manga can create and a fake sense of safety and comfort. I love the aspect of this manga because we see the girls create fake scenarios or worlds of their own to try and cope with their new lives, which I think this is an interesting take on the zombie genre. And now obviously thanks Bunko for inviting me to be a part of this video.
This is my child and she must be protected. So yeah, my favorite, obviously, if you didn't, get from the beginning, is The Promised Neverland. The Promised Neverland is a series that holds very near and dear to my heart. It is the first manga I found on my own. That's basically why it's my favorite, and is actually pretty good. Technically, the first manga I read was Naruto. I got like volume 1 when I was a child. Yeah, I have like a beat up copy down there. But when it comes to me actually starting my collection and starting to collect, Promised Neverland was the one that did it for me. Basically, I have all of this to blame for my financial decisions at this last couple 4 years. Promised Neverland, without spoilers, is a bunch of kids that are in an orphanage who are, just wanting to become, actual children to actually loving families. And yeah, go read it. I can't really spoil that much, but if you know, you know. When it comes to first arcs in anime or manga, this is probably the best first arc in the last decade, honestly. I'd like you to name a better first arc. The Promised Neverland has suspense, thrills, 40 chests essentially, people using their minds to get out of situations, and they're children, and it's crazy that they're just doing all this mental math just to get out of situations, and I freaking love it. And yes, after all the stuff that happens with that first initial arc, we still get goodness, abundance. If you're reading the manga, of course. Season 2, I'm waiting for Season 2. Season 2 does not exist. If you haven't, check out The Promised Neverland. 20 volumes of greatness, and I hope you do enjoy.
Hi, I'm Gem. I also go by She's Gemini. My favorite manga would have to be Bakuman. It's by the same creators that brought us Death Note and Platinum End, and it has to be one of my favorites, if not my top favorite. It's a manga about creators that are making their own manga, and it's a really fun concept showing the ups and downs of being a mangaka, all the gambles they have to make. And I really enjoy it just for all the character arcs. Each character has their own goals and dreams they want to achieve, and I loved following them through to the end to reach their happy ending.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jade the Scribe, and I gotta say, one of my all-time favorite manga series has to be Bakuman. Bakuman is a series fundamentally about manga artists and creativity. It's a series that tackles not just all the hurdles, struggles, but also the triumphs of the people that work in that field. However, you can also apply the messages of this series to pretty much any other creative field. You follow Mashiro Moritaka and Takagi Akito on their quest to reach the top of Shonen Jump. The thing I love the most about this series is the interactions between the two protagonists and all the other dreaming manga artists, as well as its very realistic depiction of what it's like to chase your dreams as a creative. There's so much I wish I could say about this series, but that's all the time I've got. Thanks for having me on, Bunko.
So picking an all-time favorite was pretty much impossible, but over the past couple of years I've come back to this manga specifically so many times. This is called Yugai Muzai Gangu, or Harmful Innocent Toys by Shino Ura. It's a collection of 4 sci-fi short stories that really push the boundary of creativity when it comes to sci-fi. It's one of my favorite sci-fi works ever. explores a lot of things like time stop, immortal mermaids, toys that have been taken off the market due to ethical issues. So many cool concepts explored with an amazingly detailed style of art from Shino Ura. But if you're into the wacky, the wild, and creative when it comes to sci-fi, please check this one out. A 10 out of 10 for me, always come back to it. Thanks.
My favorite manga, as of right now, definitely has to be Tokyo Revengers. One of the reasons is because the artwork is really like astonishing. Even if it's the most heartwarming scene in the series to the saddest part in the series, or maybe most badass part in the series, the artwork is always going to be really, really, really good. Another reason why I really enjoy Tokyo Revengers is because the main character's dynamics with the people around them. Like, he has really good relationships with his best friends and his wife and the people in his gang. That's really all I'm going to be talking about today, but Bunko, thank you for having me, and this was really fun to record.
Hey everybody, my name is Manga Man Chris. You guys call me Chris. Thanks for letting me be part of this collab with everybody. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. But my favorite manga is Yotsuba. And this is volume 15 here, but because volume 1 is under a big stack of all the other volumes. But this is volume 15. It is the most recent volume, and the reason I love this manga so much is because it is just really, really relaxed. It's really chilled. You can pick up a volume, really any. You don't even need to read this in order, and it works. It works. It's very, very late. It's laid back as a slice of life. It's just perfect, like comfy read for me. That's why I love it so much. So yeah, Yotsuba. This is volume 15. 16 probably be coming out sometime next year. It's a bit of a slow release, but yeah, my favorite manga is Yotsuba, and I'm looking forward to see what everyone else's favorite manga is. Bye!
My favorite manga of all time is Naruto. And yes, I know it's probably one of the most cookie cutter shonen choices ever, but for me, Naruto deserves all of the love it gets. This series forever holds a special place in my heart due to its exploration in bonds and connectivity, how important it is to show compassion and endure for the sake of others and what you believe in. These are lessons taught through the engaging cast of characters this series has to offer, showing not only the good but also the bad, as not every character succeeds at this. For me, that always gave this manga a more down-to-earth human aspect to it, because no one is perfect, as failing is a natural part in life, making it a lot easier to find myself connecting with this journey I was experiencing. And there really is no better character in this manga that carries these themes of hardship close to their chest than the main character himself, Naruto. This is one of the many reasons why Naruto is forever going to remain as my favorite manga series of all time.
I'm Astro, or Astro Table. I'm a video essay YouTuber with occasional other stuff on the side. But when I was asked my favorite manga, I had to really think for a second, went over a few possibilities. Could have brought up Chainsaw Man, Attack on Titan, even some Junji Ito stories, as I like horror type stuff. There's also Gacha Yakuza, though I haven't really gotten far in it. If I'm gonna be honest with myself, it all comes back into what got me into everything. Naruto, it has literally grown up alongside me. A story about struggling in a world that doesn't want you, and trying to be acknowledged by people who look down on your abilities. It's something I could relate to growing up. I saw a lot of myself in Naruto, and more as the story went along. It has its flaws, yeah, but I can't help but love it despite that. And my favorite moments from Naruto were characters not having a battle of fists, but the battle of words and ideologies. And I feel that aspect of Naruto goes very underrated. And to end it off, the main reason why Naruto is my favorite manga, it's simple. Without this story, I'd be a totally different person. It's made that much of an impact on my life. And for media to do something like that, that's worth the top spot on my personal list.
It was very hard to choose, but I think my favorite manga would be Naruto, which I'm sure many others will also say. For me, it was a great story to grow up with. I started off watching the anime on TV and then watched episodes in poor quality on YouTube until eventually discovering the manga and manga communities. Naruto was like a gateway drug into becoming a fan of anime and manga. It was probably one of the first cartoons to ever make me shed tears. I say it all the time how I hate that the American idea of mature themes in cartoons is just stuff like Family Guy or South Park, referencing recent real-life events or just having dick and fart jokes. But Naruto showed me that there was more that could be done with comics and cartoons with mature themes
themes. The series was filled with characters I could relate to, and I couldn't wait for the next chapter. I remember rushing home to read the new chapter on my laptop from school with friends, or going to different community websites late at night to read leaks and talk to people about theories for hours. I probably wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Naruto, honestly. Thank you, Bunko, for inviting me to talk today.
What's up, guys? My name is Adam, the Avid Taku, and at the moment, my favorite manga is a little-known manga called Gachiakta. Gachiakta follows the main character on the cover here, follows Rudo living on this floating island where the rich rule over the poor, and the rich throw their trash off of this floating island into the pit, which is just the ground. Rudo is falsely accused of a murder in which he is sentenced to being thrown off the floating island into the pit. So the story kind of just follows Rudo trying to survive in the pits, coping with his newfound ability. If you're interested in other manga such as like Kaiju Number 8 or Jujutsu Kaisen, highly recommend checking this out. And I also really like the art design and the character design. Rudo kind of reminds me a little bit of Deku, not in the sense of his character, but more so in his design. And character designs just pop off. Manga panels are awesome. Love the story and love Rudo as a character as well. Also, there is an anime adaptation that is going to be coming soon, I think in July. Go ahead and check this out if you haven't. Highly recommend it. So, Gachiakta is my favorite manga at the moment. Appreciate it.
Yahoo minasan, this is Yuki, your realist imitation VU elf, and I'm gonna try today to recommend just one manga because I love so many, but my pick would be Reimi no Arcana. If you have already watched or read Shirayuki Hime and Akatsuki no Yona, you would know this is another shoujo fantasy with a strong red-haired heroine. The main themes are political, it's anti-racism, more feminist kind of perspective, which is what I like. And also, they're gonna tackle the story from the perspective of three main characters, which are Nakaba, the main girl, Kaisar, and also Loki. You'll get to know them when you read the story. It has 65 chapters, 13 volumes, and it was released between 2009 and 2013, but has a fairly decent art style, I'd say. Like, I really loved it, and the more you read into the story, the more you fall in love with the characters, you are also more likely to start crying at any point when you go further in the story because it has a tragic element to it. So, hope you enjoy it. Thank you!
When I was asked what my favourite manga was, my mind was filled with a lot of different things. 20th Century Boys, Hajime no Ippo, One Piece, but I thought everyone else is going to talk about those. So I'll use my time to recommend something that you might not have considered reading otherwise. As a massive fan of the Haruhi anime, I had to mention the manga. Even lacking the amazing direction and animation from KyoAni and the great soundtrack, the depth of its characters and its fun plot still shine through in the manga. And it was really exciting to see the continuation of a story that was unfortunately unfinished with the anime. So please consider giving it a read.
My favorite manga and why do I enjoy it so much? That's a tough one because I don't like really read much manga. But I would probably say OG Dragon Ball. I don't know why, but compared to Z and Super, I guess it's more fun to see the world of like Dragon Ball being built upon. Like it's not all about fighting, but just like all the adventures you can see Goku like grow up with. To me, that's like much better than screaming as loud as you can about like power scaling. Like I think Dragon Ball Z fillers are like super fun to watch, just to like see how like people live. But there's like so much enjoyment seeing Goku like go through these adventures. Yeah, I don't know why, but that's my answer.
Hello, my name is Louis, aka Lucifer. And my favorite manga is Dragon Ball. Now, the reason why I picked Dragon Ball as my favorite is because it's actually the first manga I've ever read. And I remember when I was really young, not being a very competent reader, but this series really helped me gain confidence in reading, and I really enjoyed reading this series a lot, and now I'm super into manga and anime, and now I do manga YouTube just to display my collection. And yeah, very good series, highly recommend it.
Hey Bunkaban and all your viewers out there, I'm Magnus Manga and I'm here to talk about my favorite manga, and that is Haikyuu It's just a fantastic series. It is a decent long read, but it's so worth it. The characters are fantastic. Story's highly engaging. The art, you can really see how the artist really grows throughout the entirety of the series. It's just amazing. Highly, highly recommend checking out Haikyuu.
Hi everyone, I'm Dai from the channel D19 Hearts, and I don't have an absolute favorite manga series, but I do have a title that I read every year, and that is Our Dining Table by Mita Ori. So this is a story about how a young boy's fascination with a giant onigiri brings a man who doesn't enjoy eating with others together with his family. There's a lot of cooking, there's a lot of food, and it's a very wholesome, clean BL story, or boys love. If you haven't tried boys love before, I definitely think this is a good one for you to start with. So I hope that you will check out Our Dining Table.
Yeah. Yo, chat, favorite manga. My headphones is cooked, you know what I'm saying? They're cooked. But favorite manga, easily Parasite, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's creatures, you know what I'm saying, that like, I don't even know, but they, bro, I can't give you a description. You just gotta, you know what I'm saying, you gotta read it, or you can even watch the anime, but you know what I'm saying? Parasite, peak.
Hi there, I'm here today to talk about my favourite manga, and that manga is Berserk. I only have 1 minute, and what else can I say about Berserk that probably a million others haven't said? Berserk tells the story of a man called Guts and his struggle through life, through his many wins and losses. Sadly, Guts lives in a very, very unforgiving fantasy world. Of course, many of you may know Berserk from one of its many anime adaptations. Most of these actually only cover an arc called Golden Age. Golden Age really does feel like the entire prologue to the entire series, and this only really feels like a very small part of the series, meaning if you don't read the manga, you're going to miss out on a big part of the story. Now, the other thing the manga always going to have over the anime is the fact it has some of the most beautiful art you're ever going to see. This art is so detailed that it'd be extremely hard for even the best anime studio with all the money in the world to bring them to life like it is in the manga. The Berserk manga can be quite a hard and sad read in places, but I'm going to say this, you are going to really enjoy this series. It's going to change your outlook on life, and Guts is going to become your absolute favorite person ever, and Griffin is going to become your least favorite person ever.
Hello, I'm the Bearded Otaku, and I was asked what my favorite manga is. And, well, I got one in particular because I got a tattoo of it. Yeah, if you don't know what that is from, it's, Berserk. Berserk is my favorite manga of all time. It is one that I have truly enjoyed over the course of my entire existence of reading manga. And the main reason is the art and the quiet moments that happen in between all of the action, that you just have this moment of breathing, and also the character development as Guts and Party continue on. Also, rest in peace, Mira. So, hopefully that helps. Bye.
Hey everyone, I'm The Animate, and my favorite manga of all time is Berserk. Now, there are so many reasons why I love Berserk. The art style, the story, but reason number one why Berserk is my favorite manga of all time is Guts. And it's not like, oh, he fights big monsters, he has a big sword, he has big gigantic monsters. Okay, that last one is one of the main reasons. But is how he deals with everything that is thrown at him. He's the type of character that I believe should become like the reference of, you know, if you're going through some hard stuff, something very hard, some very difficult, I like to tell myself, hey, if Guts went through whatever he went and he's still like a good person, you can do the same. So that's it.
Now, I have read a lot of manga in my life. I've been reading manga ever since I was in middle school, and as you know, I'm an ancient fossil, so I have a good repertoire within my bag. But funny enough, probably one of my favorite mangas of all time is one I read recently and took me a very long time to read, and that is Berserk. Now, don't get me wrong. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Berserk is such a basic bitch answer, which it is. I get it. It is a basic answer. But it is so many people's favorite manga for a reason. There's a reason why it's highly rated. There's a reason why so many people think of it fondly. And there's a reason why so many people want an anime adaptation, because it doesn't fucking have it. Because everyone doesn't seem to be making up bad adaptations. The story exploring tragedy and the human condition, the character dynamics, the development of Guts, the development of Casca, the the horrible thing of Griffith, which we don't condone. We don't. The art, the exploration of the world, the exploration of the characters. I can honestly go on and on about why Berserk is one of my favorite mangas, because it does so many things, not only right, not only good, but excellent, almost to perfection. Not to mention, it is one of the only mangas that ended up making me cry. I don't usually cry when it comes to reading things, but Berserk made me cry very early on too, in like the first like 2 or 3 chapters. This has gone on long enough and I've been very winded with my explanation, but long story short, Berserk is one of my favorite mangas because I think it is the closest to being perfect.
For me, Berserk is the best manga to have ever been made. I've read around 300 mangas from one-shots to multiple volumes, and Berserk is the only manga I can comfortably give a 10 out of 10 to. Whilst there's many reasons to why I thoroughly enjoy Berserk, from the story to the gruesome action that gets complemented well by the art style, and the infamous rivalry between Guts and Griffith.
Griffith, you fat... No, Guts, you fat fuck, I can't get through the door.
The main thing that really got to me and why I think Berserk is the best manga out there was the boyhood arc between chapters 329 and 331 in volume 37. This small arc shows how deep of a character Guts can be by opening up his vulnerable side, from retelling his backstory to at the end where he makes sure he didn't break his promise to Cheech. Yes, he has some fights at the end showing his skill as a mercenary, but the arc doesn't focus on Guts' combat ability like it does throughout most of Berserk. It humanizes Guts to us as the reader, showing that under all of that armor, muscle and athletic prowess, Guts has a softer side and can be swayed by the words and actions of strangers. Plus, that shot of Guts in the flower field looks so clean and is very powerful once you know the context behind it.
For me, the best manga is of the magical sorts. My favorite manga series is this 3-volume series called If Witch, Then Witch. I love this series so much, and it's a really quick read. The reason I love it so much is because if you are a magical fan and you like things like Harry Potter and boarding schools, this one is going to be great for you, because literally we get to go to an all-girls boarding school. For the magical sorts, we have a little bit of danger, some magic, and would you believe it? But this is the guy. It's an incredibly fun and sweet story. If you like magic, a little bit of danger, and some romance, this is a great series for you. And we love a pink-haired witch.
My favorite manga? See, I haven't read that many manga. I've probably read like 20 in total because I'm mostly an anime person. But I'm gonna say Inukai's Dog. You know why? Because I watched the first like 2 or 3 episodes of that and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And morbid curiosity got to me and I sped through the rest of the manga. Oh, I did not need to see dog breastfeeding. Okay, but real answer is Bloom Into You. It's peak Yuri, and honestly, like, it's not just about the Yuri. It's like, it's probably one of the best handled romance I've ever seen. It's one of the only romance manga where I feel like it really delved into the meaning of loving someone rather than just like, oh, I like this person because he did something or she did something. And I thought that was really special.
For me, my favorite manga... Ooh, that's a good question. I'm pretty known for my praise of Haikyuu and Chainsaw Man, but for today, I'll have to settle on 3 Days of Happiness. It is a story which I first read in 2021, and it honestly changed my life, and mostly through my perception of what life means, what happiness is, and what it can mean to a person on an individual level throughout the eyes of the beholder. Throughout the story, it explores the value and meaning of life in so many different ways, what it means to sacrifice different things, what it means to achieve different things, and how much value that truly has to an individual. I'd recommend it to anybody, including anyone watching this video.
When it comes to my favorite manga, this is a question that I found to be kind of difficult to answer. There's series that I hold dear to. For example, Berserk, Kingdom, Real, and other works like Domestic Girlfriend. If you know, you know. But for the sake of choosing just one, currently right now, I'd have to say The Fable. It's a series that has everything I look for in a manga. Great action sequences, rich characters, a story that has a great protagonist and antagonist, and a blend of both comedic and mature tones. So, yeah, I definitely say The Fable.
Howdy everyone, my name is Alex, aka Alex, and my favorite manga is gonna easily have to be Chainsaw Man. It's the first manga that I read in its entirety, and I think that was around 3.5 to 4 years ago. It ended up being the manga that led me to making the channel that I have now, and I would say it had a deep impact on me, mainly because I wasn't doing so well at the time when I was reading it, and I was mostly just amazed by the fact that I was reading an author who felt so unapologetically themselves when they were making things from their own lens of their creativity. That to me was shocking, just because, you know, it felt like I was witnessing somebody make a thing. Everybody wants him to do a thing with certain characters or actions or things with the plot, and he was so ready to do the exact opposite of that, and I found that to be brave. I could go on and on about all the things that I love about this manga, but it would mainly just have to come down to those things. Yeah, I love Chainsaw Man very much.
My manga recommendation is Chainsaw Man Part 1. And I mean, why not? It's one of the most wildest stories of all time. The story is full of shocking twists and sudden shifts that defy conventional storytelling. Just when you think you understand the stakes, the plot takes an unexpected turn, keeping readers constantly on their toes. The manga doesn't hold back when it comes to brutal and gory combat. Amidst the chaos, there's a layer of irrelevant humor. The absurdity of certain situations add a unique flavor that sets itself apart from more traditional shonen narratives. Denji, the protagonist, is far from a typical hero. His motivations are messy, his desires are raw, and his emotional journey is deeply personal. This complexity makes his actions and decisions feel unpredictable and genuine. By merging elements of horror, action, and dark comedy, Chainsaw Man creates a genre-defining experience. This blending not only surprises readers, but also creates a unique tone that's hard to find anywhere else.
A story creates an existence, and an existence creates a story. One world was destroyed and a new world was born, and Kim Dogja was the only reader who knew the ending of this world. Omniscient reader's viewpoint, well, it's an isekai. Not really, but close enough. With a complex power system, with very unique abilities, such as the fourth wall, with a sidecast that you probably will never forget, though you may forget every single one of their names. I cannot remember Korean names and manhwas to save my own life. Not to mention, it has a very beautiful world, though apocalyptic, still very pretty. What's really special about this story? It takes the concept of the reader and turns it into something quite complex and unique in a way that no other series does. It's not simply a story, rather an experience between readers and characters. That level of immersion is more than enough to make it a fact that it's a masterpiece. That's just one thing. There's many more, like the very hot woman. But we don't have all day to talk about that.
Normally there's 3 that I think are my favorites. One of them is One Piece, obviously, and the other is Dorohedoro, which is the one I normally talk about when people ask me what's my favorite manga of all time. But if we're gonna have 110 people, I want to talk about the odd ones out. That is Love, Ina. This is a rom-com from 1998 by Ken Akamatsu, and it's kind of like the Dragon Ball of rom-coms, of ecchi harem rom-coms. It just made so many tropes that you're probably gonna love and you're probably gonna hate, depending on how you feel about rom-coms and ecchi harems in general, especially the ones from the 2000s and onwards. I really love it for a couple of reasons. It's the first manga that I really completed, and that means a lot. It's the manga that really got me into manga, into finding things that I just couldn't find in anime, because I feel like rom-coms are really a thing that are better in manga format. And I just absolutely love and feel so much nostalgia and just about the relationship between the main characters. The fact that this is our own manga where, for all intents and purposes, the main character is always after the one girl. He only has this one passion, is always focused on her. It's very different from what you normally see in other rom-coms, especially more modern ones. And I just really appreciate that focus and that growth and that, you know, that evolution in that one relationship. Also be very, very naughty, very, very yarny, but it can definitely is very awesome a lot of the times. And I think it's something that really cheers me up when I'm down or when I need to go back to those early teenage years when I started reading manga.
Magi Labyrinth of Magic is my favorite manga for many different reasons, but one of the most interesting reasons is how it's able to connect world building directly with character interactions. All of these characters are princes, kings, powerful individuals with destructive power, and subsequently, because of their different political outviews on life and how countries should be governed, they end up changing the world around them. The world is this living, breathing organism that changes and develops alongside our characters, and that is something I don't really see that often in manga. For example, there's a king whose entire ideology is to unify people under any means, and well, the moment he comes into power, the entire structure of this world starts to change, and such insane writing being done so natural across 300 chapters is something magical.
Hi everyone, my name is Astro Sei and I'm an upcoming VTuber and streamer. My favorite manga definitely has to be Apothecary Diaries. It's based off of the light novel that shares the same name, and I've been reading both of them for quite a few years now. It has everything I could want in a story, from romance to a good cast of characters and just an amazing plot. So I highly recommend you checking it out, and if you're interested, there's also an anime adaptation. Season 1 aired last year and Season 2 is going to come out January 10th, so I'm very excited for that to start airing. And I also like to thank Bunko Bun for allowing me to share my favorite manga with you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lilac. Originally, I was going to say Apothecary Diaries, but I was just looking at my collection and I remembered I have a Sign of Affection. I love it, it's beautiful. I used to learn sign language a few years back, and the way sign has been portrayed in the manga is beautiful. The story between the two main characters is beautiful, and like how they treat the main character in not treating her too different just because she's deaf is so beautiful, and it's something I would recommend for like all romance lovers out there. If you like that type of genre, definitely read A Sign of Affection, because I promise you will love it, and it's definitely a story worth telling over and over and over again.
What's going on, folks? Zach from Uchuu Shelf here. Thought I'd jump on Bunkabun's channel and talk about my favorite manga, Taiyo Matsumoto's Tekkon Kinkreet. If you haven't read it, it follows two kind of street orphans, black and white, as they battle against the Yakuza, foreign real estate developers, superhuman hitmen, other stray kids living on the street, all in the pursuit of keeping their beloved home from changing around them. I think what makes Tekkon Kinkreet my favorite manga was just discovering it at the perfect time. When I first read this, I was going through kind of the throes of adolescence. The places I was calling home were all changing around me. And the bulk of what I was reading at the time when I was a teenager was what I can only kind of describe as like stereotypical Shonen Jump battle manga. So when I read this, I thought, okay, manga is more than that. Like there's so much more out there that I haven't even touched on. I think that's all I can say about this though. Thank you again, Bukabun, for inviting me on. And yeah, Tekkon Kinkreet, Taiyo Matsumoto. Read it. Read it.
Deciding which is my favorite manga of all time was actually difficult, since it really changes depending on how I'm feeling or if I'm reading a particular story in that moment, but the most consistent answer you'll get from me is Vinland Saga. Makoto Yukimura was able to craft a story based on real-life historical events that puts into question the necessity and hunger for violence that is in a culture like the Vikings that absolutely revels in it and puts said contrast into the spotlight for everyone to see. While the themes are very idealistic, seeing the journey of Thorfinn and the path of vengeance he goes under, which has him kill so many people, to a path of redemption and wanting to not only atone for his sins, but also create a place free of that pain and turmoil, is absolutely inspiring and makes you want to improve yourself as an individual. If Thorfinn was able to reach that stage in life despite everything he went through, why can't you? Absolutely phenomenal story.
Picking a favorite manga is hard, especially because there are so many good series out there. If I had to pick, I would say that Vinland Saga is one of the first manga I think of when asked this question. Vinland is one of the most consistent and entertaining manga that I have ever read. It honestly made me fall in love with the medium in the first place. Unironically, it's changed me as a person and a reader, and I can't thank it enough. If you somehow haven't read this manga yet, I would suggest putting it near the top of your TBR list. Makoto Yukimura pours his body and soul into every page. From the art to the writing, I can't praise this series enough.
Hello everybody, my name is Spaceman, and one of my favorite manga of all time is Chain Soldier. Now hang on a second, I realize how crazy that might sound. Chain Soldier is indeed freaky, but there's way more going on with the series. Written by Takahiro, the author of Akame ga Kill, Chain Soldier's story has continued to be captivating for 100 plus chapters at this point. A story about humanity versus gods that also discusses how even a righteous chasing of power can corrupt a good person. It's pretty fire! This manga is filled with amazing character development that is so satisfying to see pay off. But even if the story doesn't grab you, the art alone makes this worth checking out. Takamura Yohei, the artist behind Chain Soldier, has such a unique art style. It's kind of cartoony and lends itself well to the slice of life moments, but the true highlight of this series is within its fights. The artwork is always amazing, but the choreography during these battles is what ascended this manga to one of my faves. And once again, yes, Chain Soldier is indeed freaky as hell, but hey, game is game. God forbid a gal have hobbies, huh? I'm sorry.
So my favourite manga is Delicious in Dungeon by Yoko Kui, and I love this manga. I absolutely adore this manga, and one of the biggest reasons is because of its world building, which I think is just so massively vast and detailed. Enough to the fact that there's a Bible, Adventurer's Bible, literally dedicated to detailing all of the creatures, all of the characters, and the worlds and the levels that are involved with this series, because it is so detailed, and it's something that I think, in combination with a hilarious and dumb and funny cast, makes for just an absolutely splendid read.
There are plenty of manga that have resonated and stuck with me over the years, but my current manga obsession is absolutely Tamon's B-Side by Shiwasu Yuki. It's a very silly idol fan rom-com between Utage, who is a high schooler who works as a housekeeper to make money to support her favorite idol, and Tamon, her favorite idol with a secret gloomy personality and whose house she happens to get assigned to. I can't quite pinpoint exactly why I've gotten so obsessed with this manga, but at this point, it's taken over my whole life. The fact that I myself am a K-pop fan IRL might contribute, but it also has plenty to do with the hilarious physical comedy and dark humor, the super fun female lead with a strong personality and whom I love with my whole heart, the anxious spiraling hot mess of a male lead whom I also love and relate very deeply to, the absolutely ridiculous idol characters whose gap personalities leave me wondering how the heck they managed to become celebrities in the first place, the gorgeous art, oh my god, the art, absolutely beautiful, stunning, delicious illustrations, thank you for the meal, and of course, the slowly but surely progressing romance between my two beloved leads. Just as the comedy is top tier in this manga, the relationships are handled with an equal amount of care. In fact, I actually really enjoy all the character dynamics in this series, and the manga spends a good amount of time introducing the new characters, which in turn allows Shiwasu Yuki to delicately develop Utage and Tamon's relationship and the slowly closing distance between them. Tamon's B-Side is set to get an anime adaptation in the near future, so I hope that I've convinced some of y'all to go give the manga a shot.
So my favorite manga to read right now is definitely Blue Lock. All the way from the main character being very relatable. There are countless and many more situations in Blue Lock that I compare to real life situations myself. And I just feel like the Blue Lock manga itself is just so good to read. It displays so much of how you gotta just keep working hard and become the best. And even if you don't want to become the best, there's so many more discipline rules in Blue Lock that I feel like applies to real life situations, like I said before. I feel like this manga portrays a good lesson of discipline and hard work ethic. So this is why I love Blue Lock, and it's one of my favorite mangas to read.
Choosing a favorite manga series is pretty hard between some of my favorites like Blue Giant, Vagabond, and Dandadan, but currently the one I'm having the most fun reading has got to be Blue Lock. We got a battle royale of teenage boys threatening to kill each other, all trying to become the world's best striker. It has some of the most hype moments I have ever seen in manga. The matches have a good mix of physical and psychological battles, developing each of the characters into stronger versions of themselves, and I love when a story gives each player their own unique strength or weapon, making them feel important and not just background characters. The artwork for a damn football manga is just unreal, and the attention to detail brings so much to every panel. I can go on and on about this series, but I am limited in time, so if you haven't read Blue Lock yet and you just love pure shonen sports manga, you won't regret it.
Hi guys, I am Kat, and my favorite manga of all time has to be Requiem of the Rose King. This is a beautiful, beautiful dark shoujo by Ayakano, where she did an amazing job of captivating and taking a spin on Shakespeare's play Richard III and creating this story where we followed Richard, an intersex man, and his journey on trying to become the next ruler despite those difficulties. And with that, we're introduced to this vast cast of characters, all with their own motives, and with each twist and turn we build and develop these characters. I love the politics and the story, and I also really enjoyed the romance, which is actually quite prominent. So if you enjoy something that is political with some romance as well, it is honestly such a beautiful story. And another thing, if you can't tell by the acrylic stands and the spines of the manga, is just how beautiful the art is. It is something I cannot praise enough and really enhances the story. So I love Requiem the Rose King. It is my all-time favorite manga, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in picking this up.
Now, to keep this nice and short, I'm only going to recommend 2 books, and only one of them is an honorable mention. Now, my honorable mention is Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games by Eri Iijima. It's a group about young girls who are all closeted and group up together to play fighting games like Street Fighter. But my personal favorite of all time, I would say, is How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift by Yabako Sandrovich. Now, this is a book that I mainly picked up originally because, cute girls, fan service, all of that. And I tend to keep to myself, so I would never say that in front of friends and family. But upon picking this book up, not only is it funny, but it's got some great tutorials on how to do certain exercises. And it got me into exercises. I don't do it often, but when I do, I pick up this book and look up a guide to do planks. It's better than Planet Fitness, actually.
It's RJ from On the Rise, and originally I thought you said favorite anime, so I was ready to gush about the beauty and wonderful series that is Dragon Ball Z, but then I realized by rereading the message that it said manga, and you manga readers, you always get me. I would say that my favorite manga currently is Wotakoi. Not only is it the first manga that I went out and bought the entire series for, but it is also a manga very near and dear to me because it is an office romantic comedy about otaku or weebs or whatever you want to call yourselves, anime fans in general falling in love, and each character is a different type of anime fan. So I feel like this series is probably one of the most relatable anime/manga you will ever experience. Not only is the artwork and the manga fantastic, the character designs are also very engaging. The characters themselves are also very, once again, relatable as they freak out about buying their favorite stuff on time, watching their favorite shows on time, playing their video games with their friends. Like, their problems are our problems. Our problems are their problems. And it's just such a relatable experience to see kind of yourself in the community you've been a part of for so long shown within the pages of manga, Manga a lot of times are these fantastical stories, and I love those fantastical stories, but sometimes it's heartwarming, it's great to just feel that grounded feeling of seeing yourself reflected on page in real time. And that is why I love Wotakoi. Love is hard for an otaku, because it's just that slice of life rom-com feel that you just love, and I'm a huge fan of slice of life rom-coms. And yeah, I think that's enough of me rambling on about Wotakoi.
Hi, I'm Manga Captor, and my favorite manga is Our Dreams at Dusk by Yuki Gamatani. It's a 4-volume series that follows our protagonist who has just been outed as gay. As a result, his will to live dries up. But before he can follow through with an attempt to end his life, he is interrupted by a mysterious person. This person leads him into a drop-in center, and at this drop-in center, he befriends other people of the LGBTQ community. He learns about different gender expressions and sexualities, and this experience widens his capacity for compassion. This is a painful, messy, and at times enraging story, but the most prominent thing of this story is its beauty and honesty. I love this series so deeply because I got to see myself in the characters. It inspired me to live more authentically as myself, and I will always be grateful to this series for that.
One of my favorite manga is Shimanami Tasagare, or Our Dreams at Dusk by Yuki Kamatani. It feels deeply personal to me, and I love getting to talk about it. It's somewhat of a coming-of-age story about finding community in queer spaces and learning to be comfortable with yourself. It's short at only 4 volumes and very refreshing in its care of the topics it covers. Though it does have some darker tones that it faces boldly. It broke my heart and it put me back together. It's a must-read for anyone LGBTQIA+, or anyone who wants to understand their queer friends better. And as someone who is queer myself, it is a very realistic portrayal of queer experience, and I have almost never felt as seen and understood by a manga before or since reading Our Dreams at Dusk.
There's so many good manga out there that I've read and yet to read, but as of right now, my favorite has been Fire Punch. If I had to describe Fire Punch in one word, it would be absurdity. It is completely chaotic in every sense of the word, and in all honesty, it's what I love about it. Who knew that a story about pessimism, nihilism, existentialism, and even cannibalism could be so compelling? Fire Punch is extremely original in its design, and may very well be the most original story I've ever read. It breaks the mold of how a story should be told and followed. There's no clear line of who the villain is, or even who the hero is for that matter. This manga is a full-on character study and breakdown of a single person. We're simply in the back seat of it all to bear witness as the horrors of extremism and the human condition in this world lay its hand on the people around them.
Hi, I'm Shay Taree. Now, I'm a psychologist, so it's probably not surprising that my favourite manga is a psychological one, and that is My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness by Kabi Nagata. Now, to be honest, the title kind of tells you what it is. It's a story about a lesbian who's going out and exploring her identity. I think it's written in a really, really accessible way, so you don't have to be part of the LGBTQ+ community in order to enjoy it. I think it does a really good job of walking through themes of mental health and identity and working out who you are in a really, really interesting way. Now, don't get me wrong, it can be a little bit dark in places. It is a mature manga. It's not suitable for minors. Don't look at it if you're a minor, please. But I think that's kind of part of the process, right? It almost feels like you're getting an insight into somebody working through their issues in an artistic format, and I think that is so cool.
Hey everyone, I'm Trini the Vigilante, and today I've been requested by Bunko to recommend you guys my favorite manga, which is by far the hardest question I've ever been asked because my favorites are always changing. The only series that I can really think of is The Breaker by Jeongyuk Jin. Very generic stuff in the beginning, however the tone of the story changes when a certain man is introduced. His name is Chun Woo Han and he applies to be a substitute teacher in Shubuun School. In regards to personality, he's very similar to Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. However, contrary to his nonchalant and lackadaisical demeanor, he has a dark secret, which is that he comes from a martial arts society known as the Murim. Simply put, the Murim is a secret society within normal society that's filled with individuals who practice martial arts. Chun Woo happens to be the strongest man within the Murim, however, he has a bad reputation, and due to certain circumstances, he is now being hunted. Now this is where the story gets good. After meeting Chun Woo, Shubuun wants to become his disciple, and he eventually does. He learns how to use chi and use martial arts. However, because his master is a wanted man, the people hunting his master eventually find out about him, the disciple, and after that, Shubuun meets countless people of unimaginable strengths and backgrounds within the Murim, and he inevitably ends up changing because of it. So this synopsis is definitely very condensed. It's not everything that I would like to tell you guys about the series, but if it sounds interesting to you, then definitely check out The Breaker.
How's it going, everybody? It's your World Champion Watkins here, and I am here to give you just a quick manga recommendation, and my pick is a series called Undead Unluck. Now, it's just ended, especially by the time this video comes out and all that, but it basically follows the story of Andy and Fuko, who are out to find the greatest death. Now, this isn't a very super dark series. There are some, low, dark moments, but overall it's very lighthearted and very wholesome in times too, but a lot of great action, very fast paced too, and it's something that a binge reader could really enjoy. So I do highly recommend it because I've been reading it for about 5 years now, since it's been out, since chapter 1, and it's been one of my favorite reads every week. So be sure to check it out, binge it, and let us know what you think of it on the internet.
Hi, I'm Cassius Conrad, and my favourite manga by far is Undead Unluck.
I could go on for hours about everything that makes this series so incredibly special to me, but I don't have that much time, so I'll stick to the key points. Negation abilities are one of the most creative power systems I've ever seen in a shonen, and the way they're woven into the progression of the characters' arcs is masterfully done. Andy and Fuko are fantastic protagonists, and their romance is beautiful despite the rocky start. The character designs, and especially the Yuma designs, are all absolutely incredible. There are so many amazing side characters outside of the main duo. It is just so wonderfully optimistic. All about keeping on living even through dark times so that you can continue to enjoy all the good life has to offer. The Ragnarok arc is literally peak fiction. I could go on for so much longer than this. This series holds such a special place in my heart. I don't recommend it. I urge you to start reading it. It is my absolute favourite manga.
My favourite manga of all time is Assassination Classroom. It's a manga full of laughter, it has great action, and it has nice touches of surrealism in the art style from time to time. And it's a story where you grow along with the characters. I love all the students at Class 3E, and I also love Kuro-sensei for guiding me as I grow as a person as well. Anime or manga, this story will always be special to me.
Golden Kamuy is a historical action-adventure seinen manga series and anime, and a weirdly pretty decent live-action taking place in the early 1900s Hokkaido. On the surface, it's a simple treasure hunt, mainly focused around the veterans of the Russo-Japanese War and the indigenous Ainu people of northern Japan. But it's a treasure hunt drenched in page after page of blood, dick jokes, and good food shared with the best of friends, who just might turn around in a heartbeat to skin you alive. You know, like friends do. The story switches between exploring the Ainu culture, predominantly via their cuisine, to segments of extreme violence, and to its rather unique and sometimes very crass sense of humour, which can be a bit of an acquired taste, as it tends to be focused on dirty jokes, often tinged with copious amounts of male nudity. But what truly makes the manga shine is the character writing. From the main duo's father and daughter dynamic, to the always strenuous alliances of convenience between the competing sides, to the characters who are simply unhinged for the sake of it.
Hello, I'm Laura Newseth, and we're talking about favorite manga, right, Roger? My favorite manga is still Sweat and Soap. I absolutely love this romance slice of life story. Please don't be turned off by volume 1, because the story inside is just I've read so many romances. I just love the pacing. I love the things that are portrayed in this series, from just very realistic things that happen to adult couples, like miscommunication, moving in together, meeting the family, like all these things are just so normal. They're portrayed in such a beautiful and realistic way. The story just has a lot of heart, and when it comes to the female lead, I just felt so seen by her, and would recommend it to anyone who is an adult that just wants something a little bit more relatable when it comes to romance.
So, my favorite manga. There's a lot of potential candidates, but I want to pick Blame by Tsutomu Nihei, primarily because it is my favorite manga to sit down and read. Other manga I will enjoy reading or watching in their anime adaptations, but Blame is a special case where I don't think you can really adapt it into anime properly, because so much of it is atmospheric. It's best enjoyed in a silent place where there's no distractions whatsoever. It's a very zen kind of thing.
What's up, I'm Frankfurter. I'm Magically Average. And together we are Bakken Company. Now, we are here to present our favorite manga. Mine specifically is Witch Hat Atelier, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and if I'm not, I don't give a hoot. Regardless, the reason why I love this so much is that it gives me a childlike wonder as if I'm reading Harry Potter for the first time again. It's got a great story, great magical world, great system for power system. Everything about it is wonderful, including the art, which is spectacular. It's getting an anime sometime in 2025. There's no real season, so stay tuned for when that'll come out later this year.
And mine is Bleach. This has sentimental value for me. This is the first series I ever collected when I started collecting, when I was probably 10 or 11. alongside One Piece as well. It's my favorite of the big three. It just holds a really, special place in my heart. It basically geared me toward watching anime and reading manga later in life, and is honestly one of the best series as well to go read.
Bleach is a manga that I have always proudly claimed to be my favorite at just about any chance that I've been given to do so. That said, I want to take this opportunity to yet again briefly express my appreciation for the series and explain why I consider it my favorite of the many I've read. Created by the renowned Tite Kubo, this supernatural series that you've likely heard of is held in regard as one of the greatest to ever grace the medium. Up there in stature with manga like Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball, it revolves around a 15-year-old high school student named Ichigo, who unexpectedly gets sucked into the world of the occult. He gains the task of becoming a defender against supernatural threats that plague the world of the living as he learns the ways of his powers. What I love about the series though isn't so much its basic premise. On the contrary, it evolves into something great, revolutionary dare I say, as evident by the many series it has directly inspired. The incredible lore and thought-provoking themes of each arc are what made me fall in love with the series and is, in my opinion, what makes Bleach special.
Hey guys, Vibrain here. First I want to thank Bunko Bun for allowing me to be in this video. If I had to choose my favorite manga, it has to be Full Metal Alchemist. From the storytelling, the characters, the power system, there's also so many genres kind of wrapped into one. You get action, adventure, comedy, romance, drama. I think this story has the most well-written female characters, so they're there more than just kind of the romance aspect. I think this is also like a coming of age story for the brothers. They originally tried to bring their dead mother back to life, but it's also a journey of them trying to get their original bodies back, and I think the story is just so beautiful. So this definitely has to be my favorite.
Hello, Bunko Bun audience.
Hello.
It is Shoujo Sunday, your favorite shoujo podcast, award-winning shoujo podcast.
Yes.
We release episodes bi-weekly on Sundays, and it's a fun time. Go and check us out and check out our catalog.
Yes.
So, Bunko did ask us to say what our favorite manga is and why. So, Gianna, what is your favorite manga?
Okay, surprising nobody who knows me, my favorite manga is, of course, Ouran High School Host Club. I just love the hijinks, the shenanigans, and the way that Ouran is not afraid to crank things up off the scale to 11. In the manga in particular, I love the way it expands on the romance story between Haruhi and Tamaki, and I really just love the way the final chapters unfold. It felt very, very satisfying to me. I love Ouran High School. I could go on for 45 minutes, so I'm just gonna pass it on to Chika. What is your favorite manga?
My favorite manga, which I think if people at least listen to our podcast, this is not going to be a surprise to y'all. My favorite manga is Basara by Yumi Tamura, and it is an enemies to lovers story, and essentially this girl takes on the prophecy that was meant for her brother to save her people, and in the midst of that, she falls in love with her literal enemy, and it is juicy. There's intrigue, there's angst, there's action. Like, it is an amazing story. It's out of print, but you can read it on the Viz Media app.
Thank you, Bunko Bun, for having us be part of your video.
So Bunko asked me what my favorite manga is, and well, I'm going to be talking about a webtoon because I am super duper obsessed about this webtoon called School Bus Graveyard. It is literally a mix of thriller and horror and just drama and adventure, which I absolutely enjoy. I caught up to the manhwa webtoon in like literally a day, and it has like almost 200 chapters, like 190ish or something, and it is just, oh my god. The story revolves around like this antisocial girly who is forced to make some friends because of, well, let's just say monsters and really creepy things that I don't want to spoil for you guys, but you guys should definitely check it out because that webtoon just has like a chokehold on me, and it is so freaking good.
So if I had to choose what is my favorite manga, it's actually going to have to be Air Gear. So Air Gear is an anime / manga about a high school kid who gets bullied by gang members. When he tries to fight back, he figures out that these gang members are gang members that fight with rollerblades. They have their own turf wars with rollerblades. They have superpowers. It's all fun. It's so magical, so mystical. There are some slight adult themes, nothing too far forward, but the whole story and premise kind of captures you. The fact that it's like you're now living in a world where these gangs and these pretty much high school kids are just fighting for land with rollerblades.
Hi guys, I'm Lachette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and my favorite manga is Attack on Titan or Shingeki no Kyojin by Isayama Hajime. I love it because the premise is frankly wild and the storytelling is very different from what I'm used to. The timeline not always going in a linear fashion from past to present, and the world building is frankly amazing. I love all of the characters that we meet, and as far as the art style, I really appreciate it in general, but specifically I love how easy it is to follow the fight scenes or when they use their 3D maneuver gear. It's great.
Hey everybody, my name is Roger's Base, and my favorite manga of all time, despite my name being Roger, is not One Piece. It's actually none other than Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin. I feel like Attack on Titan was such an amazingly paced, well done manga series. It is very clear by the end of the series that Isayama knew where he was going from chapter 1, and while I do feel like by series end, One Piece will probably topple Attack on Titan for me, One Piece is still ongoing. Attack on Titan is finished, and so I feel like I can speak frankly about the entire series as a whole and talk about all the different things I love. I love the story twists, I love the characterization, I love the way that he plays with your expectations, I love the way that he revealed who the Colossal and the Armored Titan were. There are just so many things that I absolutely adore about this series. I think it's incredibly well written. I think this is probably the one manga I would recommend to people who don't normally read manga to go check out, just because of, again, how concise it is. You could read the whole thing in under 200 chapters. I almost said 200 volumes, again, because I'm a One Piece fan, but I just absolutely, positively adore the series. If you've not already read Attack on Titan, go read Attack on Titan. It's incredible.
Kei Nagai is seemingly struck dead in a traffic accident, only to learn that he is a Jin, a subspecies of human characterized by their immortality and possession of psychic projections. The only way to find out that you are a Jin is through death. Following resurrection, a nationwide manhunt ensues for his capture and study. What begins as a run-of-the-mill thriller evolves into a JoJo's-esque adventure as Kei engages in psychic battles of increasing stakes against a hostile faction of the Jin. The initial concept of immortality finds itself pushed to its extremes in these battles, with characters turning severed body parts into fried chicken, only to later resurrect from said crispy goodness at a more convenient time. This evolution was brought on when one half of a Jin's two-man team departed during Volume 1, leaving its artist to finish the remaining 16 volumes on his own. The following 9 years would see the storytelling and art improve dramatically. A Jin embodies what makes manga special as a medium to me. As compared to other visual medium, only in manga can you create a visual narrative that fully encompasses the essence of one person. The end result is some of the most diverse and distinct stories of any medium.
Hello everyone, I'm Tony from Tony's Manga, and my favorite series is Slam Dunk. I love this series so much because we follow our main character on the frontier. He has no interest in basketball, he's kind of a delinquent, but he is really infatuated with this girl who has an interest in basketball, so he joins the basketball team, and throughout the course of the story we see him develop his own love for the sport. so he does his best to succeed not only for himself but also the rest of his teammates, while also keeping his incredibly goofy personality. I love the ending of this manga. It is so immersive. It will have you on the edge of your seat. At this point, I've read this series 3 times, and it has invoked the same feelings or stronger in me throughout each reread. So highly, highly recommend this fantastic foundational sports manga.
I don't have a favorite manga, but for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna say 20th Century Boys. 20th Century Boys is an amazing series, and one of the things I loved about it the most was the main antagonist, Friend. Friend is one of my favorite villains in manga, and just in fiction in general, just alone because of how cool he is. He has such a cool, ominous demeanor. He has such a cool mask, just a cool character design. I really like those kind of like manipulative, sort of controlling forces in the background. He doesn't get like that much screen time throughout the entirety of 20th Century Boys, but when he shows up, he just steals the show, and it is so fucking good. And even after finding out his, I'm not gonna spoil, but even after finding out his identity, I feel like there's so much mystery behind Friend. Either way, I feel like Friend is just such an enigma of an antagonist, and I feel like 20th Century Boys, even though it can get kind of convoluted sometimes, I feel like just has such an interesting overarching story that can lead to so many different interpretations and takeaways that I think that is just, that's what makes it so great, and I have to give it to 20th Century Boys. Please read it.
So my favorite manga is Sailor Moon. I started watching Sailor Moon when I was around 5, 6, I think. 7? But it was one of my 2 first anime. I can never remember if I started Sailor Moon first or Pokemon first, because I started them around the same time. And at the time, I didn't even know that they were anime. But here is my favorite. This has stuck with me ever since. It has so many wonderful things. It's such a great story with empowering girls, young girls, and showing friendship and love and all the good things in the world, and that, you know, things are good no matter what's happening. I mean, there's going to be bad things, but we still have to look at the good that's in people and in the world. So I really like that about Sailor Moon. I also kind of really related to Usagi, at least in the original anime. I felt like she was a lot like me, to be honest. So I always kind of connected with it on that level too. I also used to watch the show with my younger brother, and yeah, Sailor Moon was something that's always been with me my whole life. When I moved many times, different people I've met, friendships I've made, and maybe lost, but I've always had Sailor Moon. So yeah, this is my favorite.
Hey there world, I'm the Courageous Goldfish. And obviously, when I think about my most favorite manga of all time, that's such a difficult question because I've read and loved so many over the years. But when I meditate on it, in my heart of hearts, it's a stereotypical pick, but I've got to take it back all the way to where it started, at least for me, and that is Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. I feel like it's a classic for a reason. There are very few titles that have defined their genre the way that Sailor Moon has defined shoujo, and just in general, I feel like shoujo manga is vastly underappreciated as compared to shonen. I just feel like it's one of those series that has transcended generationally. It's been around for 30 years. Like, obviously it's got lasting staying power in pop culture. It's also globally transcended the language barrier. It's been dubbed in so many different languages. They showed it on cable TV in a ton of different countries in the 90s. I just feel like it's the kind of series that anyone can pick up and enjoy, and it's just one of those things that when I really think about it, it is my favorite. And this copy in particular is autographed by some of the actors from the original 90s dub. Honorary mention for Black Butler because Yana Toboso did not improve her art style just for you guys to ignore her talent because of perceived cringe. Travesty.
My favorite manga of all time. There are a handful of different series that I consider to be absolutely wonderful. Series that I've covered in the past or that I've praised heavily. But the thing is, you're interviewing a whole lot of different YouTubers for this video, and I have a feeling that at least a few of them will already cover some of these series. So instead, I'm going to talk about a different manga. This one, Yokohama Kadashi Kiko. Last year, I absolutely fell in love with this manga. It's about an android girl running a coffee shop after the world has pretty much ended for vague ecological reasons. It's weird, insightful, great to look at, and just maybe my favorite manga of all time. I finished reading it around this time last year on the New York City subway. Don't tell anyone, but a few tears were shed, and that has to count for something.
Without a doubt, my favorite manga is Blue Period by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. I started reading back in secondary school close to its debut when all I really had in life was a tumultuous relationship with art and a few years before I would have to move on with my adult life. I grew alongside Blue Period's protagonist Yatora, learning about art, finishing school, and moving on to university. As Yatora studied in Geidai, I studied for a degree in illustration of my own. Blue Period has been with me every step of the way, and while I now have my degree, the manga remains a constant comfort to me as Blue Period doesn't shy away from the intense joys and pains being an artist entails. I feel like it understands some of the most complicated feelings etched deep within my heart, and for that reason, among others, it's my favorite manga.
Hello, I'm Opalescent, and my favorite manga is A Silent Voice by Yoshitoki Oima. Many are familiar with the film adaptation, and if you loved it as much as I do, I strongly recommend giving the source material a read. I watched the movie first, then read the manga, and there's quite a lot in there that didn't make it into the adaptation. The plot follows Shoya, a former middle school bully desperately trying to make things right with his former victim, Shoko, who is deaf. He and his classmates would do the sort of terrible things middle schoolers do, like make fun of her voice or yank out her hearing aids until she had to transfer schools. Shortly after, all the blame for what happened was pinned on Shoya, and he got a taste of his own medicine, becoming isolated from all of his peers. Now, at rock bottom in his life, he reaches out to Shoko to accept the offer of friendship he rejected all those years ago. It's an impactful emotional drama about redemption and friendship with beautiful art and characters that feel so real. A Silent Voice reached me at a lonely point in my life, and it not only made me feel seen, it made me reflect on myself. So yeah, please read A Silent Voice. Just be prepared to be violently angry at some points and an inconsolable sobbing mess at others.
Hi, my name's Acorn Papaya, and my favorite manga as of right now is The Way of the House Husband. I really like this series because it's a perfect mix between comedy and wholesomeness. I really like this series because I like how he was an ex gang member. He's just taking on daily everyday life and daily chores and being a house husband as if he was in a gang war. I just find this read just really entertaining and fun. It's pretty wholesome as well. It's just really interesting. I'll do a quick flick through so there's no spoilers. You gotta look quick. So yeah, The Ways of the House Husband is my favorite manga, and I do suggest you should read it. It's a good read.
No matter how much my taste in anime and manga matures with age, the one constant that stuck with me throughout the years is my love for Tokyo Ghoul. Between the incredible art of Sui Ishida, the captivating universe, and the moody atmosphere that feels like it could have been pulled directly from a 14-year-old's MySpace wall in 2008, Tokyo Ghoul is a masterpiece of edge. This was my original hyperfixation manga. I remember being in high school, reading the same arcs and chapters over and over again to try to see if I had missed anything previously, albeit all while I should have been paying attention to the classwork. Sure, it didn't have the most polished ending on the planet, and absolutely there were too many characters to keep up with at some points, but I'll never forget the weekly chapter discussions where everyone was just trying to piece together what could possibly come next due to Sui Ishida's love for foreshadowing and his masterful use of it in the series. And of course, as any Tokyo Ghoul veteran would know, chapter 125 dropping was absolutely one of those you had to be there kind of things. I'm also going to give an honorable mention to Kimi ni Todoke because that's another manga that's just a masterpiece time capsule of a bygone era. Thank you for listening. Let's see the next one.
What's going on? Shonen Rona here. I just want to take a quick second to talk about my favorite manga of all time right now, and that's Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is, I can honestly say that, a reason it's probably my favorite is because it took me by surprise as someone who, watched the anime and didn't really understand the themes of it when I was younger. I thought it was just going to be another shonen, but it ends up being an amazing seinen as I read it. I really, really enjoyed that series. Everything from the artwork, to the character development, to the action, to the themes. It's just a great, great manga. I will say that the anime just does not do it justice. The anime helps you know what you're getting into, but reading the manga is a different story. I really suggest everyone check it out if you can.
My favorite manga is probably Tokyo Ghoul by Sue Ishida and Oyasumi Punpun by Ino Asano. I love both of these stories. I think they're beautiful. I have a special place in my heart for Tokyo Ghoul. It's the reason why I'm here today still making content, and for that I am forever thankful. Punpun was the definition of life-changing for me. Very early on, it opened up my eyes to what could be possible for manga. The scarily realistic trauma that Asano writes within feels incredibly real and uniquely told. It is a special experience. Both of these stories are blessings to me, and I would highly recommend anyone that hasn't checked them out to please do so.
When it comes to my all-time favorite manga, it has to be Eyeshield 21. I've always been a fan of sports manga, but Eyeshield is special for being the American football series. Baseball and soccer series get printed almost yearly, and I'm a fan of several of them, but Eyeshield is the one series I've reread more than any other, and no other mangaka has been able to replicate that American football success. This was the debut series for Yusuke Murata and the first series for Riichiro Inagaki. You get to watch both their art and writing evolve as the series goes on, and it becomes such a thrilling read. And the characters are incredibly memorable, both the main team's characters and the side characters on the rival teams. And we even get one of those everybody's here moments with the final arc featuring a world tournament. If that wasn't enough, Eyeshield 21 still gets love to this day. We had the Brain Brave one-shot at the beginning of 2024, and it was great seeing these characters once more after all these years later. This manga gets one big seal of approval from Axel, and thank you Bunko Bun for giving me a chance to talk about it.
Hi guys, Kirito here. So, I was asked to talk about my favorite manga on this video, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Now, I know I'm gonna anger a lot of people, because people are gonna start shouting that I have no taste. Maybe I don't, who knows. But yeah, my favorite manga of all time, Domestic Girlfriend. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. I take the booze and the applause at the same time. Now, hear me out, okay? This is a really huge hear me out manga, because for those of y'all that were part of my squad, you know, my era of people that read this manga as it was coming out, you know that we were going on a roller coaster of emotions with this shit, right? We didn't know what was going on at any time, but at the same time, it was a story that you just couldn't put down. As much as it was a train wreck, it was still a train. Think about it this way. It is a massive train wreck, but at the end of the day, it is the Orient Express or the Shinkansen. Wouldn't you want to be on those things? Yeah, I know. Now, what I'm trying to say is this, okay? For me personally, I was always rooting for Hina and Natsuo since the very beginning. Yes, you can boo me, whatever the fuck, okay? Now, Rui isn't bad either. I also wanted them to end up together because if it happened, I wouldn't mind. But that doesn't mean that they were my favorite couple. My favorite couple was still going to be Hina and Natsuo since anime days. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the fact that it ended the way it did, I can understand how it pissed off some people. But for me, drama happens. Shit happens. I've seen unpredictable shit happen to people at a moment's notice. It happened to me before too. Something almost very similar. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying is this, just because you didn't like the ending doesn't mean that the story wasn't good, okay? Domestic Girlfriend, it's a great manga, and I really suggest you guys go and read the manga, because honestly speaking, I have no idea when the hell they're gonna bring a season 2.
Hello, Bunko Bun. My name is Colleen's Manga Rex, and today I'm going to be recommending that you go read Chihaya Furu. Chihaya Furu is one of my favorite manga ever. I talk about it all the time for anyone who is familiar with me. It is my favorite series. I love it so much. I try to recommend it to anyone I possibly can, and sometimes it's a hard sell. The series is about this girl named Chihaya who discovers a sport called Karuta. It's this niche Japanese card game that introduces poetry to it as well. But it is largely a sports, romance, slice of life drama series. The characters are amazing. It's just an incredible story, and I would love for you to read it. So that is my recommendation for you for this video.
Hello, my name is Lana Rochelle, and my favorite manga series is Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takaya. I love this series because of the main character, Toru. She's a very normal girl, but through her compassion and kindness, she is able to change the lives of everyone around her. Despite her flaws and traumas, she was able to help the Soma family overcome their hardships throughout the series. I also love her relationship with Kyo, one of the male leads. But of course, neither of those characters are actually my favorite character of the series. My favorite character in Fruits Basket is Yuki, which is one of the other male leads. I think Fruits Basket has such a wonderful array of characters and a very impactful story, so I would highly recommend it if you have not checked it out already.
Hi, I'm Manga Cat, and my absolute favourite manga ever is Fruits Basket. I adore everything about this manga, from the story to the characters to the relationships, especially Kyo and Toru. They're one of my favourite manga couples ever. I also like that the manga covers some darker themes, and that it has some serious topics in there. It's not just a light-hearted high school romance. I absolutely love this manga. It is fantastic.
Out of all the series I've read, World Trigger is easily my favorite. I've always been a fan of strategy, and with this battle shonen in particular, it's the whole bread and butter. Between the tournament arc or the invasions, every loss and victory is earned, and the way teamwork is executed tends to be pretty brilliant. Not to mention, Mikumo being the main character has always been someone I've related to outside of being a Four Eyes. He may not be the best around, but he rises to the occasion because that is what he believes he must do. He's a fantastic leader, and as the story enters its second phase with the Away Mission saga, I can't help but feel that this will end up being one of the greatest stories to ever hit the world of shonen when all is said and done.
There is no manga that I have ever read that has rejected a reliable status quo and stuck with me for that very reason, quite like Blue Exorcist. What starts off as your run-of-the-mill secret society fights secret creatures narrative unravels to a story where the lovable ensemble cast of archetypes are deconstructed and completely recontextualized. Whether that be because of a past that was meant to stay hidden, characters who've never been able to live in the present, or characters who fundamentally change who they are for the sake of the future. All while the main character, who happens to be the son of Satan, tries his damnedest to not be the monster that both the world and his own brother almost hopes he is. And that's not even mentioning the art in Blue Exorcist. Demon designs looking fresh out of hell, and characters who are only part demon having it only manifest in their most extreme expressions. The only flaw of the series, in my opinion, being that so many people were misled about its quality from how the 2011 anime handled its own ending. If you like the identity struggles of Chainsaw Man, half of you being your own worst enemy from Tokyo Ghoul, or the secret society from Jujutsu Kaisen, I just know you'd love Blue Exorcist. It is a hell of a good time.
Hi, my name is Lord Usagi. I'm a cosplayer and shoujo manga enthusiast, and my favorite manga is Yona of the Dawn. The art in the story is just so beautiful, but my favorite thing about this series is the characters. Of course, I love Yona. She's such a strong character and grows so much throughout the series. But I also love the found family dynamic between Yona, Hawk, Yoon, and the Four Dragons, as well as the dynamics between the original trio and how the events of the story have affected their relationship. This series was one of the reasons I got into physically collecting manga a few years ago, and I'm just not ready for the series to end.
My favorite here is Rick Vida from Clamp. It's their debut work. They have produced a lot since, but Rick Vida, for me, remains their best work. 6 stars will fall to this plane, dark stars that will defy the heavens, and you shall undertake a journey. One that begins when you find a child of vanished race. I cannot discern the child's alignment. I only know that it is he alone who can turn the wheels of Tenkai's destiny. For it is the heavenly mandate that through his child the 6 stars shall begin to gather. And then someone shall appear from the shadows. Even my powers cannot clearly make out his figure, but he knows the future and can manipulate both evil and heavenly stars. A roaring flame shall raise the wicked. 6 stars will overpower all others, and inevitably they will be the schism that spills the heavens. So that is the prophecy that really ties this whole story together. It is, of course, about this beautiful man right here. Of course, they are the main characters here. They will follow the whole prophecy and see if their fate is really predetermined or not. As you can see, Clamp has such beautiful work, such beautiful panels. The only downside of this is, of course, you can get it in either these 10 volumes of Tokyo Pop or these 3 Dark Horse omnibuses. But if you don't shy away from digital manga or hunting out of print manga, I would desperately call on you to read this one, because Clamp has such beautiful artwork and the story is such an amazing journey that stays with you. So yeah, all yapping aside, please read Rick Vida.
Hey everyone, my name is Mamsi, and my favorite manga is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I really love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I really love the characters and the many stories that are told throughout the 8 parts of the manga, and also the show as well. Yeah, I just really love the fights, the characters, the villains especially, and also the stand abilities and Harmon as well. But the series definitely became better when stands were introduced, and it's the reason why I and many others love the series as much as we do today. So yeah, I would say JoJo's is definitely my favorite manga, and I would also consider it to be one of the top 3 best manga of all time as well.
Hello, this is That Manga Dude, and I am super excited to have been invited to do this video for Bunkabon. And I was asked what my favorite manga is, and that is going to be Shaman King from Hiroyuki Take. This is a 35-volume series, a really fantastic shonen series following the story of Yo Asakura as he aims to become the Shaman King. It has fantastic characters, really great art style, and just a lot of great themes, and just overall story is just a lot of fun. So many great characters, honestly. I love this cast to death. The villains included Hao, who is one of them is the main villain, is a really strong villain just in general. I love his character writing, and just overall, this series is amazing. You can get it through Kodansha right now in their omnibuses, and yeah, Shaman King is my favorite manga. Thank you so much for inviting me to this video again.
When Bunkabon asked me to take part in this, I genuinely wasn't sure what I'd pick, but they said it didn't even have to be my highest rated manga, so I decided to pick my most glazed manga of all time, Shaman King. Hiroyuki Take has an extremely unique and interesting art style that helps him stand out from the crowd. His illustrations were a huge creative inspiration for me through my many sleepless nights at college and university. The characters themselves are super memorable and ooze with personality. The MC, Yo Asakura, genuinely changed my life when I was growing up. He is very laid back and stands on this philosophy of not worrying about things that he can't control, giving people the impression that he doesn't care, when in actual fact, he probably cares more than anyone. Yo preaches against revenge and the circle of hatred, but if you hurt his friends, oh my god, he will hunt you down like it's his job. The manga is action-packed with a great power system that uniquely harnesses the power of spirits. Shamans use their spirits to supplement their own power, wielding special abilities and insane weapons. I seriously recommend reading Shaman King if you love stories with great battle systems, spirits, ghosts, violence, and a lot of philosophical discussions around life and death. Bunkobun, thank you so much for having me.
Hey guys, the Manga Viewers here, and my favorite manga and anime of all time is Gintama. It's one of the few mangas that capture the real-life essence of how a character should act. At first glance, when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's just a comedy anime. No, it's not, trust me. It's a life story, and the reason for that is you watched the first episode and it's basically a filler episode, for example, or you read the first chapter and you're like, what the hell is going on? It's set in the Edo era. It's basically like kind of like the samurai, past samurai era kind of thing. So there's like a sword band, and the main character kind of like goes around. He just want to be left alone. He has an odd job. Your least expected characters to return are really like the most important characters. The character or the arc where you're like, oh, this arc is not important. This arc is actually important. So highly recommend it. Definitely watch a lot of animes before you watch it, and second thing, watch it with a totally new mindset. Don't think of it as like, oh, this is like the rest of the animes. It's different.
Hi, I'm Tracy of Tracy's Nordic Light, and thank you, Bunkabun, for inviting me to join in this collaboration to share my favorite manga, and that would be Spy Family. I just love Spy Family. Volume 1 was my introduction to manga, and so it will always hold a very special place in my heart.
My favorite manga of all time is a series named Siren. I read Siren when I was in middle school. It was my first ever manga, and it really changed my perspective on anime and the whole culture as a whole. Siren made me realize how much work and dedication goes into being a mangaka and really making these characters come to life. Every week I would run to the library and I would always try to find new volumes of Siren, and I would be glued to the pages because the storytelling was just that good.
Annyeong! Hi, I'm Sana, your sweet fairy librarian, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite mangas, Gantz X. I think it's one of their most underrated series. While most people know them for Cardcaptor Sakura or XXXholic, X leans fully into the darker, more apocalyptic side of their storytelling. It's one of their most psychologically intense works, full of characters you can't help but root for even when they're on opposing sides. And the art is hauntingly ethereal, simply a chef's kiss. Mwah! If you like beautiful chaos, morally gray everything, and stories that will wreck your soul, then this one's worth the emotional damage. What do you think?
Hello, I'm Ergo Kitty Cat, and my favorite manga of all time is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki, best known for his Ghibli films. It's an action, adventure, fantasy, sci-fi shonen series set in the future where there's lots of war, politics, and mutant bugs the size of dinosaurs, so what's not to love? But it also really delves into humanity's hubris of itself, which is why I really enjoy it. And although you can choose to grab yourself the single volumes, it also comes in a box set collector's edition with these incredible hardcover copies that have colored pictures in it. You have maps so that you're not too confused about the different varying kingdoms, because it is a very complex story. You also have a double-sided poster as well, so it's a great addition to any manga collection.
Alright, so favorite manga. I feel like this changes all the time, but the one constant that's always at least in like my top 3 list is always Hajime no Ippo. I just feel like Hajime no Ippo is the perfect manga for anybody trying to figure out how to, become that go-getter, like try to go out there and reach their dreams and stuff like that. The action's also amazing. Like you can tell you could see the creator's love for martial arts and boxing with every single panel. It's just a dope series to get into, whether you are looking for ways to get more passionate in whatever you're trying to do, or just want to see a lot of dope fights. Hajime no Ippo is your manga.
Monster, made by Naoki Urasawa, is a story of human suffering and how we deal with traumas that life gives us. The philosophy of Monster is what draws me in, not the quote-unquote big bad monster that's represented as Johann Liebert, but the idea of the monster, the beast of humanity actually being a real phenomena. Even though Monster as a series is a long burner, it's worth to read. It's honestly a great showing of human morality and how certain external things influence your upbringing. That's why I like Monster. It's a great lesson on humanity and not just a black or white way of viewing morality, but looking at the grey areas within the middle. As people tend to have a lens of viewing things in extremes, which causes more harm than good often not. One last thing, if you guys have seen the anime of Monster, it doesn't really depict the same as the manga. The anime really likes to hype up this image of Johann, romanticizing the monster, and that is what the manga does too, but it's a bit more extreme. He seems emotionless almost, but in the manga we can see more expression in Johann's face drawn for Naoki Urasawa's images. So for those of you who have seen the anime, I would recommend checking out the manga, just because of the slight vibe difference you'll really see when you look into it, and also the interpretation of how you read it. But yes, that's why Monster is my favorite manga, even though some people have seen it through the anime. I recommend the manga.
That has been 110 content creators' favorite manga. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's participated in this video. With social media being so divisive and content creators being spread far across different platforms, I wanted to use this video to unify people together. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and discovered a few new manga titles and or content creators along the way. Either way, I went to go take a long nap after making this video, This took so long to make.